The next session is going to be taken up by a very smart gentleman. His name is Anirudh Sharma. In 2011, Anirudh started the Le Chal project, Haptic shoes for the blind mobility, which won him the MIT Tech Review TR35 Innovator of the Year Award. The invention spun into a startup. Okay, you're going to applause. The invention spun into a startup manufacturing the low-cost shoes for the visually impaired in India. Anirudh's love for using technology to inspire wonder has taken him to the MIT Media Lab, where he invents across disciplines. Right now, he's working on a printer that harvests ink from pollution. He also dabbles in magic, so a lot of magic is going to happen today on stage with Anirudh. Herpetology, motorcycles. No, I think motorcycles, so by the way, I also have a classic 350, Anirudh. Yeah, so you can take a ride with me on my classic 350. And he plays the tabla. I don't know whether he's going to be playing tabla or not today, but ladies and gentlemen, Anirudh Sharma for you.
Okay.
That was loud entry onto the stage.
All right.
All the best.
Thank you. Am I audible at the back? Awesome. So I wouldn't start with like the way I start my formal presentations, because this campus is very important for me. I'm not from any IIT. I tried very hard to get into IIT. I didn't. I even used to take money from my family to buy IIT ka form, but I never used the money to actually get the form. I used it on something else. And back in 2006, when I started my journey of creativity and technology, IIT Bombay was the first, the Tech Fest at IIT Bombay was the first event where we bought a little robot with like wires hanging loose. It didn't work. It didn't win any prize, but we saw amazing events. If you know what Tech Fest is all about, right? So Technoholics events. So it really inspired me. So I would like to start with this presentation of my journey of life and failure and whatever. And maybe some of you would connect to it. So there was supposed to be a playing card at the left, so I mean it's gone. So back in 2007, I was a second year undergraduate student in my college, and you see this guy at the back over there highlighted. That's me. I used to always sit in the back seat. I was somebody who did not understand what professors said. They are teaching complicated geometrical formulas and mathematical transforms, and I wouldn't give a shit to it. Okay, no offense, but it didn't make sense to me. Why should I understand that? Because I used to enjoy magic. So there was this TED video by Jeff Hand back in 2007. It's a pretty old TED video. It was about creating magic with human-computer interaction, magical interfaces, that kind of stuff. I saw this video. I used to sit in the back seat. Got fascinated by it, and what happened, sitting in the back, so I called my friend who was better student than me. They come back, let's watch the video together. So he comes back, we start watching the video together, not listen to the professor what he's teaching. Then I call another friend who was professor's favorite in the front seat, and now we make a team at the back, like all three of us would not listen to the professors and just do our kind of thing. And what happened was, because of this, we started creating prototypes of multi-touch and gesture-based stuff. You'll know what I'm talking about in a bit. So we found a way. So my attendance in college was 3% in the entire 4 years. And like all of us used to skip college and travel all around the country, taking our prototypes and presenting them at Tech Fests. So this was my entire college life all about. And I did not finish my college, and I moved to Bangalore, because I had 17 backlogs in my 48 exams kind of thing. And I moved to Bangalore, and I started working for HP, and I quit my job because working in a big company is like being a small part of a big wheel, and it didn't really satisfy me. So I had this idea, I have two phones in my pocket, and when they start vibrating, I get these vibrational sensations, right? You feel it. What if you move those sensations to the feet? So you can create an invisible sort of interface for visually impaired people. So I came up with this shoe concept that has vibrations in all four sides. So this is for north, this is for right, this is for left and right. So this idea, I took a cell phone apart, took out the vibrator from it, put it inside the shoe, interface with a cheap Bluetooth module, and made it work. So very simple, wiry, scary looking shoe. So I used to go to blind people, hey, check this out, I made this, and they started liking it. So I was like a closet inventor sitting in my room and making stuff. So that was the idea, like, you know, there's a little circuit, Arduino, and a couple of vibrators, and then they give you a haptic feedback wherever you want to walk. So I took this thing outside, so that's the whole idea. The design is done in a way that it fits in within a shoe. Like, you don't see the computing, it makes the computing invisible. So entire computing is embedded within the shoe. People liked it. They started sending me these emails when this project became very viral on the internet. So I got a lot of press. I became famous a little bit, and I started liking it. So what happened was, the good part was people started writing to me, hey, I have a blind sister, can I buy this for them? I said, I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not making this stuff, I just do it for my own pleasure. So they started writing to me, and I thought this kind of stuff is kind of required by the society. So that made me quit my job. So that made me spin this into a startup. I moved to Hyderabad, so I quit my job, moved to Hyderabad, and I realized that sometimes simple ideas in your head can have a huge impact. So probably in the next talk, when Varun talks, you'll hear like, don't think too much, just do it. So it's like that, like, you know, simple ideas that can impact a lot of populations. There are 40 million visually impaired people which have a need for navigation. If you see a visually impaired people walk on the streets, you'll see them walk with a blind cane or a dog or probably somebody assisting them. So what happens is that their mobility is kind of limited. So we came up with the shoe idea and moved to Hyderabad in a small room, and we had a startup going along, made it big slowly. And people started liking it. We took it around the country. People checked it out. There are visually impaired people who tested it. And then I realized that the startup was going well. It became a bigger team. But then I realized I suffer from a disease called chronic invention. Like, you know, I have to invent new things to stay alive. So I would like be in a startup, I'm managing stuff, but I said, okay, take the shoe a break. I want to do something with colors, something with magic, something with tabla, hack the tabla and put some electronics in it, that kind of stuff. So I'm a very impatient sort of a person in that nature. So I realized that's my nature, and let's just go with the flow. So professors at MIT liked it, and without my undergraduate degree, I got admission in MIT. So I went to MIT Media Lab, and I am currently pursuing my master's over there, and I'm doing research. And I would like to share with you the kind of research I'm doing there. So the shoe thing is still going in India, and I moved to MIT, and over there I'm working on magical sort of user interfaces. So by magic I mean so have you heard of Clarke's third law? Anybody? Like, any new technology is indistinguishable from the magic. Like, if I make a levitating sort of an interface right now with pixels floating in the air, it's all magical to you, right? So that's my personal inspiration. So how many of you are engineers here? Oh, okay. So probably when you grew up, your first tool to draw was probably a ruler, right? A simple ruler. And it's been around for last 3,000, 5,000 years, but it's never been reinvented. So what I did was take a ruler, cut it in the center, put a transparent display into it, and see what can happen. So basically, how do you reinvent a ruler? So I added a transparent display to it, and what I came up with a ruler that has a memory and it can do some sort of physics simulations. You'll know what I'm talking about. So basically, you come up with this. So you basically draw gravity, then you draw velocity, and then you draw some strokes on the paper. And then you visualize, you put this thing, and you see the physics happen on paper itself. So it's a transparent OLED that shows the interactions in real time. So the main idea was not to change anything, not to add any extra devices, because there are tons of devices already. Why can't we add intelligence to the devices that we have already? Like, I don't want to carry one more iPad with me. Like, there's too much. So why not reinvent that kind of stuff? That's my motivation. So you draw something and it tells you the area. A traditional ruler won't. So how do you measure non-linear sort of shapes with a ruler? Like, you draw this thing and it tells you what are the angles, what are the dimensions of the sides in a real-time feedback. So that was my inspiration, like how do you reinvent it, and architects and sort of, you know, people who like cool stuff, they kind of like it. Okay, so how many of you over here, let's be honest, how many of you over here smoke? There are some hands in the back. I'm sure there are people who are shy. Okay, so good, okay. So smoke is very fascinating. It's not about the bad health it creates. it's very fascinating the way it, rises up, and, the way it, covers the whole walls and makes it black. So it's pretty interesting. So in our culture, in our Indian culture, when you see, what kajal is, right? The thing that you put in the eye, and the way it's made is like when you burn fire, you get soot and you collect soot. That's a very interesting thing. And imagine what we used to do in our culture, like, you collect that and you put it in the eye. It's a beautiful thing. So why can't we use that principle to actually make ink? So I came up with this idea at a weekend tinkering hack. So basically, how do you repurpose soot generated from fire to convert it into ink? So I came up with a simple concept. This shows that if you burn something, how it creates a carbon black. And then you design a very simple contraption that mixes some little bit of vodka and a little bit of vegetable oil. So if you mix vodka with vegetable oil and some soot, it makes a very low-tech sort of ink that you can draw with. So, and then what you do is you collect this soot in this sort of contraption. And there's a very simple assembly hacked out of a syringe and simple cutout. So design a simple, low-tech suction pump, and then you pump it into an ink cartridge. So this is a cartridge that can fit into any printer and start printing for pollution. So basically, the idea is that you drive around your car in the city and you collect pollution. So you see this pollution is repurposed now as ink. Now I'm spraying it. And then you will see it's a handheld printer that I can now print with. So if I send text commands to it, it would like start printing from it. So this is ink. So that was the main idea. Like, there are simple things around us that are so beautiful in nature. If you start observing them, those principles can be applied to reinvent stuff. What I'm trying to say is, enjoy engineering, enjoy architecture, whatever you do, but it's not so hard to invent. Like, you just have to realize the beauty of engineering and the beauty of physics and just start putting into new ways and design new stuff. So that was the idea, like, how do you drive a car and just collect ink in the cartridge? So it was just a concept that I was exploring. So a couple of NGOs from India, they're now trying to put this sort of contraption. They're trying to experiment with it inside chimneys. So imagine chimneys are already throwing the smoke into the environment. How do you separate the carbon black and make free ink out of it? So, I mean, cartridges in India still are expensive. They're like $35, which is more than the money a normal man, like a poor man, makes. So, I mean, how do you make ink very cheap and accessible? So that's mostly what I did, and I'm right now working on these sort of magic. So I just conducted a workshop I was in Mumbai for the last 5 days, and we were doing this workshop on magic and combining magic and technology back at V School. So we came up with amazing prototypes over there, like how do you create a wall of smoke and project on it so so the displays over here, they're very flat, right? They're very 2D, and flat is boring, right? Everybody likes curves. So I mean, just to break the whole seriousness. So I mean, this is flat, right? What if this was fluid? Like, what if I could take my hand inside and grab a ball and pull it outside? That's the kind of interactions I want. Like, or maybe I'm playing a game of cricket. I know what you're thinking. So, so probably if you're playing a game of cricket or something, why can't I throw the ball at the screen and it goes inside the screen? That's the kind of interaction. So imagine there was a screen made out of little fog and you're projecting on it. So you see the display, but the cool thing about that is that you can actually go inside because the display exists, but it doesn't exist. So those sort of interactions. So I mean, in next few days, the videos of the projects that people came up with would be up. And that is my story. I like to keep it short. If anybody has questions, is free to stand up and ask.
This screen is something like what they have in America, you have a smoke and then...
Yeah. So students came up with the idea in like 5 days and built a prototype in this workshop that we did like in V School. So 25 researchers from MIT flew down and we did this workshop. It's a DIY thing. So a lot of people from all around the country came in and they worked on projects. Yeah. Yes. So the way, imagine if I were not here right now and if I were to present right now, probably they will show you a video, right? But to create the realism, like the fact that you are here, you could also see me on YouTube if you see my ink talk or something. But the fact, if you want to experience me without me being here, you need to create these sort of magical interfaces, like have some smoke, you project on it, so you feel that I'm actually standing here, though I'm not. So yes, it would help telepresence, I totally feel, yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it's just a creative exploration. Now people get excited about it, and they come to me and they say, yes, we want to commercialize. I say, okay, if you want to do it, do it. I did it for myself, basically. Yeah. I hate patenting system because it's an enemy to innovation. But the thing is, the way patents work right now is that if I am a person who's a part of an organization, I can patent stuff. But if you are an individual inventor, there's so much innovation that happens in villages, independent inventors, they don't have access to patenting system because the cost of the barrier of entry is so huge. Like if you were required, if you have an idea in your head right now, and you want to patent that, you need like for international patent, you need like $10,000 to do that. $10,000 is like more the money than you'll make in 5 years. So patenting is interesting, but it's like it's a norm which is abused, and only the big companies can make profits out of it. So an individual inventor with one patent doesn't mean anything. So I really don't patent. Most of the stuff that I do is open source, so I release it free for like innovation and stuff. I mean, sharing is fun, right? Like, do you know the story of Che Guevara's picture? Like, everybody wears this T-shirt, Che Guevara. Had it not been free, it wouldn't have been so popular. So when this photographer took that picture in 1938, in Cuban Revolution, he said that I can sell this picture for $1 million, millions of dollars, because it's an iconic picture. But it wouldn't become iconic till the idea of, the people relate freedom to that picture. So he made it free and it became viral. So there are two ways of doing things. Make things open, and it's a whole difference in Microsoft and Linux too. So yeah. Is Microsoft sponsoring or something? No hard feelings. No hard feelings. Yeah, I still use Windows at times. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure you, since you like magic, you would have read a lot of books. I mean, even the science fiction and all, say Harry Potter is naming it.
Yeah, I love Harry Potter, yeah.
So, do you kind of, because there have been inventions in UK and US which try to borrow concepts from books like
Yes. I mean, technology is, so the kind of stuff that you talk about right now, the virtual reality, if you read about magic, what magicians used to do, back in 1850s, they had systems for virtual reality. So they would have so imagine like there's a piece of glass over here at 45 degrees angle, and I project from the top, but you don't see the projection happen. So I can create an illusion that I'm fighting with somebody, I'm having a sword fight with somebody who doesn't exist. So these sort of things were done by magicians back in 150 years ago, because they're the first ones who use any sort of new technological invention. So if there's a new material that comes, so there's a material called magic sand, I have some in my bag. So you put that in water, but it won't get wet. So they're the first ones who will use that kind of stuff in their magic tricks. So yeah, magic is very fascinating, I think. I mean, do you know about Marco Tempest? Anybody? So Marco Tempest is my advisor, my thesis reader. So he's a magician. If you look him up, he does a lot of magic with technology and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. I mean, you can make money by abuse. I haven't really made much money yet. I wouldn't know, but I'm like if you want, you can make money out of it. Actually, there are some like if you provide services around it, you can make money. You can become very popular and get invited to talks like this, and and make some, so your traveling is taken care of. So I'm in Mumbai and they're flying me back in and back out. So you don't you make intangible money. You get that sort of thing?
With the sort of creativity and mindful act, don't you feel that Hollywood or Bollywood will contact you for special events? Because you're open source guy.
Yeah.
So naturally you should make money.
There is something called as animatronics.
Animatronics. What's that?
Some special effects in movies, like a lot of
Correct. Right. There's a lot of science that goes into these science fiction movies, like whenever it's created. So, have you seen Minority Report? And so, Minority Report and this, what is this movie about holograms these days? Iron Man. So, the interface for Iron Man and Minority Report were created at the lab I work right now. So it requires technology to create these sort of things. So, I would look up animatronics, yeah. Any questions, especially from the back benches? Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So when you create business out of something, it's important to patent it. Like, don't get me wrong there that you shouldn't patent stuff. The idea is patent system is evil. It's like a double-edged sword. Like, you have to do it because that's the norm. It's like a necessary evil. So if you are doing a business around, if you want to build a business around something and create a monetary sort of thing, yes, you should patent, because that is how patents, whether you like it or not, the philosophy behind it, you should patent. So that way, does that answer your question? In that case, I can sue them because I have a Creative Commons license, and if somebody uses that, I can sue them. But if some individual inventor or some small startup uses that, I would be happy because my work is getting validated by somebody who wants to remix it and stuff. Yeah.
How do you react when you see somebody launch a business in your
I would initially feel good that my idea was good enough that they stole it, and then I would go after them. I would hire a lawyer and yeah, go after, yeah. I say the patent system is it's like Microsoft. You have to use it to run these presentations, but it's not necessarily something that I believe in. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, any artist lives only for credit, right? Like, I mean, he doesn't make much money, but he lives for credit. Yeah. Sure. Sure. I can't hear you. Do you have a mic at the back? Can you guys be a little quiet, because the signal to noise ratio is not really happening.
Check.
Okay, I think we can take questions offline. So so sure. Yeah.
That will be the last question. Yeah, sorry.
So getting into MIT is not hard. Like, it's just so you tell it turns on. Yeah. So basically,
There is no option.
do what you enjoy, and then they will come for you. It's like that. Like, I mean, keep doing stuff, keep building stuff, and then they look for that thing. They are not interested in your CGPA or your grades. They are basically looking for people who can build stuff. Invent. My work was very related to what MIT does. So I would look for references, I would look for similar stuff, and then I would write to them. Okay.
Thank you, Anirudh. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Anirudh Sharma. Can we have a huge round of applause for his talk? Request you to quickly settle down. We are going to start the next session soon. It's going to be an extremely important one and an interesting one. As you can all see on the screens, we are going to have Varun Agarwal. He is going to be speaking on social barriers to starting up. And if I had the opportunity, I would introduce him in about 2, 3, 4 pages, but I'm going to be sticking to about a small paragraph. Varun is a filmmaker, entrepreneur, and a best-selling author. He's 26 years old and has got 3 companies to his credit: Alma Mater, Reticular, and Last Minute Films. His company, Alma Mater, is India's largest provider of merchandise and memorabilia to schools and colleges. As a filmmaker, he has directed the likes of Preeti Zinta and A.R. Rahman in music videos, and his films have over 1 million views on YouTube. His debut novel, How I Braved Anu Auntie and co-founded a $1 million company, became a national bestseller within a month of its release, and already in its 5th print, selling over 80,000 copies. He has been featured on the cover of India Today, the New York Times, India Inc., and numerous other periodicals, as well as on the CNBC Young Turks show. Varun has given lectures in over 100 colleges across India, including the IIMs and the IITs, and also the United Nations Young Changemakers Conclave. He has also been awarded the Young Achiever Award by Rotary International last year. His inspiration talk at Ink Talks was seen by over 1 million people on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you Varun Agarwal.